uncut, unedited, tell the truth, and shame the devil. I love being black.
All right, people, we here as promised, 7 o'clock on the dot prompt. I want to thank you guys for coming on in. And this is a great show for those of you that have criminal records. And this is something that you would probably, I didn't know, something that you will learn about. And it's going to be great. It's going to be a great discussion. And if we have time, we will take callers. But if we don't have time, so just forgive me. I promise you, I'm going to ask the necessary questions. I promise you that. I got Mr. Greg here. He's gonna hold my hand through this session. Basically, I'm the student people in this case. He's the teacher. He knows all about the Clean Slate Bill, and it said it just passed. So they're working it out right now. So it's not, it's in different. If I'm right, Mr. Greg, we're working in phases, right?
We're working in phases. We're beginning implementation. Well, I'll get into a little detail of that as we talk. Okay. But we're going to be beginning implementation and so on and so forth. But we'll get into that as we talk.
Okay.
I want to make sure I'm going to leave no rock unturned.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your listeners will be satisfied.
They will be satisfied. Okay. All right. Now, real quick question before we get started. Now, this information that you'll be presenting to us today, what population that you want to target? The people that have criminal records, or just?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this: the main population I want to target is justice impacted individuals. That's the name. That's the name that we talk about. That's legal the name term. That's been. That's the term that we use, justice impacted individuals, or some people say system impacted individuals. I don't want to get picky over terms, but right. we want to target system impacted individuals, justice impacted individuals, because we want to let them know this is coming down the pipeline. You can get ready for this. And also we want the general public to know. We want the general public to know exactly what's happening, the laws that are passing through the Illinois General Assembly that are beneficial to the people of the community.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, Mr. Greg, you'll notice that I'll probably ask you questions twice. And the reason why is, by this being a podcast, some people come on late. And, so I try to get a rewind and, so I don't want you to think I'm just repeating myself. So I do that for the people that's coming to chat late and looking like, what's going on here? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? This is going to be great information. I want you to, we're going to get started. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your organization and your title. Educate us on that. We'll get started.
Okay. My name is Greg Chambers. I'm the director of policy for an organization called the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments. And our organization was born out of the Fully Free campaign. And the Fully Free campaign started a number of years ago based on a research report. They did some research, and they scrubbed the Illinois statutes. And they found from this research project that there were over 1,000 laws in the state of Illinois. Get that, over 1,000 laws in the state of Illinois that serve as barriers to reentry, barriers to housing, barriers to employment, barriers to education, barriers to civic engagement, and more. And so the purpose of the Fully Free campaign is to rid the state of Illinois of all of these punishments that are generally called collateral consequences. That's a soft term, but we said, let's call this what it really is. This is permanent punishments. And so we want to get rid of those over 1,000 permanent punishments on the laws in Illinois. And so that's the purpose of the Fully Free campaign. And what we think that we can do is we think that we can mobilize justice impacted individuals. There are close to 4 million justice impacted individuals in the state of Illinois. And now understand this.
4 million?
4 million, close to 4 million. Now let me put this into perspective. Okay, there are about just over 11 million people in the state of Illinois. We got about 4 million of those people who are justice impacted individuals. So what we believe that we can do is we can mobilize justice impacted individuals to say, wake up the sleeping giant, and say,
Mm-hmm.
you can be taught, you can be taught to advocate for yourselves, to create laws for yourselves, and you don't have to rely on other people who are not justice impacted, who don't understand your journey, who don't understand your path. And that's what we do. We mobilize justice impacted individuals, and we teach them. We have policy trainings, we have narrative trainings, we have organizing trainings. We teach people how to organize and how to get things done legislatively.
Wow. So, I actually, you jumping ahead of my question. So, the vision of the organization, your vision.
Oh, well, our vision is simple as this. We believe that an arrest or conviction should not follow a person for life. Let me say that again. We believe that an arrest or a conviction should not follow a person for life. If a person has done what society calls him or her to do, that is, you've been convicted of a crime. You've been sentenced to a term of imprisonment. You've completed that sentence, followed by a period of mandatory supervised release. Your debt to society is done. You should not have permanent punishments that continue to punish you even after your release. And so we believe that an arrest or a conviction should not follow a person for life. And that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to remove the stigma that's associated with
Mr.
being.
Greg.
Yes,
Mr.
go
Greg,
ahead.
real quick.
Go ahead.
What does justice impact means to those in the audience that don't know?
Okay, justice impacted. Now, this is a term that was born in the General Assembly. The General Assembly, I believe it became effective January 1st of 2024. Don't quote me. I think that's when it became effective. But what happened is we a lot of times people quibble over what people call people who have been arrested, people who have been convicted. People call them offenders, people call them criminals. They have all these negative names, but we believe in person first language, and we believe in identifying people not by these negative labels that have negative connotations, but we believe in calling people person first language, and language that is less offensive. And justice impacted simply means this: you have been impacted by the criminal justice system, whether it's been an arrest, whether it's been a conviction, whether it's been incarceration, whatever the case may be, you have been impacted, whether it's been reentry, parole, mandatory supervised release, or whatever, you have been impacted by that system. And so that's what we mean when we say justice impacted individuals.
Okay. We just want to, just for the people in the back, as they say, that don't know.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Fully Free campaign to the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments. Explain that to us too.
Okay, again, the Fully Free campaign is based on the over 1,000 laws that we saw were barriers to education, barriers to employment, barriers to housing, barriers to civic engagement. And the Fully Free campaign is designed to remove those barriers so that the people who have this stigma attached to them can be fully free. As I said before, when a person completes a period of incarceration followed by a period of mandatory supervised release, their debt to society has been paid. And so we believe they should be fully free. And so that's what the Fully Free campaign seeks to do. This is going to be a campaign that's going to take a number of years to do. We won't be around until it gets done, but we're going to start it, and we're going to teach other people to come and take our places and continue it. And that's what we want. We want it to be a revolving door. As we move around, those of us who started the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments, we want to bring other people in to fill our shoes. And then And that cycle should continue to go as long as an unfair and unjust system exists in the state of Illinois and in the United States of America.
Okay, I want to detour just a little bit, and I have a question in a messenger. It said, "But what about major crimes like murder, armed robbery? Shouldn't that stick?"
Okay, that's a good question. That is a good question. We believe, okay, let me put it like this.
All right, they're getting you. All right.
No, they're not getting me. I'm ready for this.
Come on
I'm
with
ready for this. The legislature in the state of Illinois, over however many years to date, they create laws with rules and limits, sentencing limits. Like, for instance, murder, 20 to 60 years, a Class X felony, 6 to 30 years, a Class 1 felony, 4 to 15 years. This is what the court can sentence you to. If you get sentenced by a duly seated judge who says, I'm going to sentence him to 40 years in prison for this crime, if you complete that sentence, you're done. That is what the judge sentenced you by law. Mm-hmm. And that is what the judge sentenced you by law. And so you are done. And there's no person has the right to continue to punish you after the statute has punished you based on what the judge determined was appropriate. Now, remember, when a judge sentences a person, a judge uses all the information available, mm-hmm. evidence in mitigation. That is the evidence that tends to suggest you get a lower sentence, and the evidence in aggravation. That is the evidence that tends to show you get a higher sentence. And so the judge balances that out and comes out with a sentence for you. When you serve that sentence, you should be done.
So quick question. What do you mean by permanent punishment? That's what I want to know. Permanent punishment.
Okay, a permanent punishment. A permanent punishment generally is, for instance, a punishment that basically never ends. It continues after you've paid your debt to society. Now, it could be 5 years after you've paid your debt to society. It could be 10 years after you paid your debt to society, or it could be for the rest of your life. For instance, in the past, before we started this clean slate stuff, in the past, a person was always judged by his or her record. If somebody runs a background check and they see that, and then they say, okay, I'm not going to give him or her housing. I'm not going to give him or her a job because of this. Does that mean that they're not qualified for the job or for the housing? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that you are discriminating against this person because of a conviction that they paid their debt to society for. And in what world is that fair? We don't believe that's fair, and that's why we believe in getting rid of permanent punishments.
Okay. Real quick, let's talk about, I'm jumping ahead of myself, the Clean Slate Bill. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Clean Slate.
Yeah, because people, I know that's what, we have people that's been, what you call it, justice impacted by the justice. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the Clean Slate Bill and how it came about and, different things like that.
Okay. All right. First of all, there is a national organization called the Clean Slate Initiative. The Clean Slate Initiative is a national organization that is set out on a quest to get clean slate legislation passed in all 50 states. They want clean slate legislation campaigns started in all 50 states by the year 2029. And so right now, Clean Slate has been passed since Illinois passed it in October. Clean Slate has been passed in 13 states across the country, including Utah and Oklahoma, the reddest states in the country, New York, California, Connecticut, Michigan, I'm not going to be able to call out all of them, but it's been passed in 13 states across the country, and so we're looking to have it passed in all 50 states. Now, Illinois embarked on a quest to pass clean slate legislation here about close to 5 years ago. And so this is a campaign that we've been engaged in for close to 5 years on the ground. We've been organizing, we've been publicizing, we've been educating, we've been getting people to know about Clean Slate and what it does and how it works.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I noticed. Let me put this up here.
But did I answer the question? Because I think you said did you ask what is Clean Slate?
Yeah, well, how it started,
Okay, that was
the
how it
Clean Slate
started.
Bill. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna go down the orders and see if I pick out anything. I don't want to pass up nobody. But what okay, here's a question. It says, understand your answer and what you're trying to do, but with major crimes, especially murder, even after doing their time, I feel that person should be evaluated for some time before that type of crime is expunged. Unfortunately, we have people who commit multiple murders. Did you want to comment on that?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll say this. Uh, I, I love that you're contributing and asking questions, uh, and asking questions. And we consider all of this. Now, for instance, with the violent crimes is not a part of Clean Slate. All right. I want to be clear. So anybody who thinks that violent crimes is a part of Clean Slate, uh, the answer to that is no. Violent crimes are not a part of Clean Slate. It was actually deliberately drawn up to exclude violent crimes by our community-based organizations, which is led by our steering committee partners, which is Live Free Illinois, which is Workers Center for Racial Justice, and the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments, with help from our supporting partners like Impact for Equity and all the other 70 plus organizations that help us. But with regard to that, violent crimes are petition based. We're not changing the law. This has already been the case. There's only 4 offenses that are excluded from sealing and expungement in Illinois. Those four offenses include sex offenses, include domestic battery and violation of order of protection, include DUI and reckless driving, and include inhumane treatment of animals. Those are the 4 offenses that are excluded from sealing or expungement in Illinois.
Brother Greg.
Yes, go ahead.
Is arson included in that? Arson?
Included in what?
And those
excluded?
Yeah.
Those exclusions? No.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Okay.
Arson is sealable. However, those offenses will remain to be sealable. Not those 4 that I mentioned, but all violent crimes will remain to be sealable only by the petition-based method. And I can get into that a little later because I have a part where I'm prepared to talk about some of the crimes that are included and some of the crimes that are excluded.
Okay, Mr. Mark Mitchell said, "What does the new law affect and how?"
What does the new law affect and how? Okay, it actually affects. It actually streamlines the process. So right now, people can have their records sealed in Illinois through a petition-based method. What the new law does is the new law streamlines the process. It creates an automated process there where some people, eligible people, will be able to have their records sealed automatically. This will happen through a computer system that's set up in the Illinois State Police and with the 102 counties throughout the state of Illinois. Once the Illinois State Police determines, they come down with a list of people who are eligible to have their records sealed. They will then transmit that list to to the clerks of the courts across 102 counties. This will happen 4 times a year. 4 times a year. It will go to the 102 counties, and they will automatically seal those records. It's that simple. That's what the new law. That's the effect of the new law.
Now I have a question that's not on the grid. How is this law working in other states? Is it working? Do it need more tweaking, to happen? I know we use the other states as a role model that passes Clean Slate Bill.
Okay, I can say this. I'm not going to speak for other states. I would prefer to have people from those other states available. But what I will say is initially, the first state that did this was Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania did it in about 2019. Since Pennsylvania has done it, they have realized over 56 million cleared records. 56 million cleared records. Now, and Michigan, when Michigan did it, since they've done it, they've realized a 22 to 24% rise in the earning potential of justice impacted individuals after they get their record sealed. And so these are things that are happening. Now, one thing I will say is that when some of the first states started, they had problems. They had problems with implementation because it was new and they were learning it. But and so what we've done is we've followed those states. Our coalition is in communication with those states. And so we're learning from them, which is why we've designed it the way that we've designed it so that we will have time to get it right. Some states didn't get it right the first time. They had to come back and revisit it to make visions so that they could get it right. But we've learned from that so that we can get it right the first time.
Okay. I might be jumping a little ahead of myself, but can you give us a timeline how when this is going to take effect?
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to talk about the pathway to implementation.
Okay, cool.
Okay, now, first of all, this wing was passed on October 30th of 2025. It passed the Senate on October 29th, and then it went to the House and passed the House on October 30th. And so the legislature has 30 days to send it to the governor. The governor then has 60 days to sign it. Once that's done, we will have a law that becomes effective on July 1st of 2026. Now, people ask the question, does that mean our records are going to be sealed on July 1st, 2026? No. And the reason is because there's time that's needed for the state police and the clerks of the courts in all 102 counties to set up the computer system. And that's going to take a while. And so what's going to happen is implementation date is a date different from the effective date. The effective date, as I said, was July 1st, 2026. The implementation date is January 1st, 2029. So on January 1st, 2029, that's when records will start to be sealed. Now, I could go a little deeper into that and talk about the automated sealing timelines so that people have a clue on how, and I can talk about 2 timelines. So let's talk about the automated sealing timeline. Now, with automated sealing for records sealed on or after the implementation date of January 1st, 2029, dismissals and acquittals, sealings will occur immediately. As soon as you are acquitted, as soon as your case is dismissed, the sealing will be occur immediately. Now, with supervision and qualified supervision, sealing will occur 2 years after you complete the qualified probation or the supervision. Now, the misdemeanors and ordinance violations, that will occur 2 years after completion of the sentence. And then finally, felony convictions. Felony convictions, sealing will occur 3 years after completion of the sentence. And remember, a sentence is defined as a term of imprisonment followed by a period of mandatory supervised release.
Okay. So it's like when you get out of prison, and if you have 2 years of probation or parole, that's when the process can begin after the parole is served. Is that, am I correctly?
Yes, after the
Okay.
person. So back to the person who asked the question about time to watch. Now that person was talking about homicide, and I say homicide is not automatically sealable. So we. While I understand that was important to you, that's a petition-based process, and that's not what Clean Slate deals with. Clean Slate does not touch homicide. Uh, 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 but what I want to say is I want to talk about the schedule for sealing records. So people ask, well, when is this going to start? And you asked a bit of that. So I'm going to talk about this. So for records created before December 31st, 2029,
Good. Yeah.
and on or after January 1st, 2005, the sealing for those will begin January 1st, 2031. All right. Now, the second group of cases are cases that were gotten before July 1st, 2005, and on or after July 1st, 1990. Those will be sealed by January 1st, 2032. So we got 31 and 32. Now, the last set is cases that were gotten before July 1st, 1990, and on or after July 1st, 1970. Those cases will be sealed by January 1st, 2034. So, and now as you may have heard, I said 2031, 2032, and 2034. So some people might ask, why does it skip 2033? It skips 2033 because the records that were created before July 1st, 1990, and on or after July 1st, 1970 will be all paper records. They're gonna need time for that. They're gonna have to hand go in there, find these records, and store them. And so that's gonna take time. So the other records are records that can be found through automation, through computer systems, through technology. Those records are not being able to be found through technology. Those records are going to have to be dug up and stored away. And so that's why the 2 years have been given for that last group.
Okay, real quick question. Vince Miller said, I had a gun. He said, I had a drug and gun case back in the 90s. I got convicted and served 2 years in prison. That was 1995 to 1997.
Mm-hmm.
I got out and haven't been back or had any run-ins with the law. That's 28 years I've been out and haven't been in any type of trouble. So that's it. Let me see what else. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me finish reading because you can't see all on the screen. Do I need to pay to get my record expunged to get it done quickly, or will it automatically seal on its own? Basically, you just answered the question. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Cases with guns that don't involve a discharge of firearms will be subject to automatic sealing. But what I would encourage people, though, if you can, visit some of the organizations that do this. Teamwork Inglewood does expungement and sealing. Cabrini Green Legal Aid. Even our organization also has expungement and sealing summits, and we have attorneys that come there that help people with expungement and sealing. We've gone all over the state to do this. We've been to Rockford, we've been to down to Peoria and Bloomington and Springfield. We've been across the state trying to get this done. So you can still get this done through a petition-based process right now if you want it done. Now, the person who asked the question, the person who asked the question, I don't know if you've ever sought to have your record sealed, but you were eligible to seek to have your record sealed, and you could have gotten the record sealed. And some of these organizations that do sealing do it on a sort of, I believe, sometimes pro bono, and they don't charge people for this. But it also depends on how much you make, and sometimes they take that into consideration.
Okay. It said, can you get a felony sealed or expunged?
Yes, you can get a felony conviction sealed. You can get a felony conviction sealed as long as it's not one of those that's excluded. Remember, I talked about those that's excluded, and this is just for people who may have just come and haven't been here throughout the whole time. The ones that you cannot get expunged or sealed. And first of all, let me distinguish this.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to ask my next question. Go ahead.
Sealed is for convictions. If you've been convicted, then you can have that record sealed. If it was not a conviction, you can have it expunged. And I can break that down a little more a little later. But and that's the distinction. But felonies can be sealed if it's not one of those four. And those four: sex offenses, excluding misdemeanor prostitution. Misdemeanor prostitution, you can get sealed, but other sex offenses, no. Domestic battery and violation of order of protection, no. DUI and reckless driving, no. Inhumane treatment of animals, no. Anything else? Yes.
Okay, good job. Okay, let me go back to my grid here. What about you just explained that records that are ineligible for sealing. Okay, my phone ringing. I'm sorry. What about the non-conviction records created on or after January the 1st, 2029?
Okay. All right. Now, records resulting from a release without a charge, an acquittal, a dismissal, a reversal, or vacated offense on or after January 1st, 2029 shall be sealed immediately.
Immediately, okay.
Let me repeat.
Go ahead.
Those cases are release without a charge, acquittal, dismissal, reversal, or a vacated offense, or on or after January 1st, 2029 shall be sealed immediately. Go ahead.
Oh, you I think you answered my question immediately, effective immediately. Okay. Yeah. So those are like the cases just like thrown out, no conviction automatically. Okay. Is that what are you saying? Is that what I'm comprehending?
Yeah. Well, yeah, these are anything that was, if you were released without a charge, and what happens is you get arrested, and then the state's attorney says, we're not gonna pursue charges. So we're not gonna pursue charges. That is dismissed immediately. An acquittal, you went to trial and you were found not guilty, that is dismissed immediately. Dismissal, the case is dismissed. The judge dismisses the case immediately. If your case is reversed, if you get convicted and you go to court, you go to appeals court, and the appeals court reverses it, you're done. And they let you out and not retry you, that is dismissed immediately.
Wow. Good work here. Now, what about the disposition on or after January the 1st, 2029?
Well, that is what I said.
Okay.
I was addressing that right there.
Okay.
But what I will say is non-conviction records created on or after January 1st, 2029 will also be sealed immediately.
Okay. So non-conviction. All right. I think I got a little confused. Now, when you say sealed or expunge, non-conviction is expunged or sealed. I got a little confused on it.
Well, what this law does, this law only deals with sealing. right?
Okay.
Only deals with sealing. Now, these records are eligible to be expunged if they are one of those categories that I just talked about,
Okay.
dismissal. Those categories are eligible to be expunged, but you have to do that through the petition-based process. This process only speaks to sealing. So those records will be sealed so nobody can see them, but you are entitled to have some of those records expunged.
Okay. Wow. I done learned a lot today. A lot today.
Well, what I want to talk about is I want to talk briefly about those that are ineligible for sealing.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay, ineligible for sealing. If you have while an individual is currently serving a sentence, and this may be common sense to most people. If you're currently serving a sentence, you can't get anything sealed. Not while you're currently serving a sentence. Now, while an individual is subject to an order of supervision, you cannot have a record sealed. While an individual is subject to an order of qualified probation, you cannot have a record sealed. Now, ineligible offenses also include Article 9 offenses, which are homicide and homicide related offenses, are not sealable through automation. Repeat, for those people who are concerned about violent crimes on this call, and I see there has been a few, those records are not sealed automatically through this law. And stakeholders wanted to make that clear throughout this process, and that has been made clear, and it is not part of the law. So if you have a homicide, you cannot get that sealed automatically. You cannot get sealed automatically Class X felonies. I want to be clear. Class X felony. If your offense is listed or classified as a Class X felony, you cannot have that sealed automatically. Now, you can do the petition-based method, and there are still organizations like Teamwork Inglewood, like the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments, like Cabrini Green Legal Aid, that will help you get those records sealed. Sex offenses requiring registration, with the exception of misdemeanor prostitution, ineligible. And crimes of violence under the Drug Court Act, ineligible. So there's a list of crimes under the Drug Court Act, and I'm going to give you the statute. For those of you who know how to look up the statute, you can Google the statute. It's 730 ILCS 166/20 in parentheses B in parentheses 4. So 730 ILCS 160/20B4. That statute, that part of the statute is the definition of crimes of violence under the Drug Court Act. None of those offenses apply for automatic sealing.
Wow.
And if you want, I can go through the list if you want me to. It's a little exhaustive list. I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, maybe give us maybe 5 or 6 or something on the list, so if you can.
Okay,
you don't have to give us the whole list. Okay.
On the list: first degree murder, second degree murder, predatory criminal sexual assault of a child, aggravated criminal sexual assault, armed robbery, aggravated arson, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated battery resulting in great bodily harm or permanent disfigurement, aggravated domestic battery resulting in great bodily harm or permanent disfigurement, aggravated criminal sexual abuse by a person in position of trust or authority over a child, stalking, aggravated stalking, home invasion, aggravated vehicular hijacking, that's carjacking, or any offense involving the discharge of a firearm. Any offense involving the discharge of a firearm. Remember, I talked about the person who asked the question about gun offenses. He had a gun offense, had been there for a while. Well, as long as there was not a discharge of the firearm, you'll be okay. Now, there are some other offenses that have been included, like trafficking, in involuntary servitude, robbery, and residential burglary, class 1 and class 2, and residential burglary. So those offenses have also been excluded from automation. And that's because there were some groups that came to the table and said, hey, we would like to have these offenses added to the list of people who are not qualified or not eligible for automated sealing. But they still remain eligible for petition based. You can still file a petition and have those offenses sealed. That'll undergo strict scrutiny in some cases. The state's attorney may object. You are able to put mitigating evidence to show that you have been rehabilitated, and it will go before a judge, and they are able to hear testimony from witnesses, and then the judge will make his or her decision as to whether or not you can have that record sealed.
Okay. All right, Mr. Greg, I think we've gone to time. Before I let you go, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank Teamwork Inglewood, Associate Director Mark Mitchell, for setting this up tonight. Appreciate you, Mr. Greg. And I want to say to the audience, go ahead.
Can I say one thing before I leave? I want to say this because it's important. What we did do in this legislation is we created a task force. There will be a task force that will be created that starts July 1st, 2026. They have 60 days to impound 19 members of the task force, some with people with justice impacted individual, and also some community-based organizations will also be a part of this task force. It's a 19-member task force, and then the first meeting is supposed to take place 90 days after the effective date of the legislation, which is October 1st. So keep your eyes open. If you want to serve on this task force, then start to inquire, contact us, reach out to me, reach out to our organization at the Illinois Coalition to End Permanent Punishments, and we can help tell you how you might be able to be a member of this Clean Slate Task Force.
Beautiful. You know, I'm gonna have to go back myself and go and rewind and listen, because there's some things that kind of like flew over my head. I said, I'm gonna go back and just listen very attentive, because you gave us so much information here. So much information, valuable information. And I think those of you that's out there, make sure you share this live. Like it, share it, send it to someone that is justice impacted, right? Impacted, yeah, by the justice system. So send that, because there's hope. There's hope. So again, Mark Mitchell, thank you so much for using me, the navigator for Teamwork Inglewood, Associate Director Mark Mitchell set this up. Thank you, Mr. Greg. Appreciate your knowledge, man. If people want to reach you, how could they reach you? Give us an email or something. Or
if you want to reach me, you can go to G Chambers. That's Charles, Henry, Adam, Mary, Boy, Edward, Robert, Sam Chambers at endpp.org. That's Edward, Nora, David, Paul.org. G Chambers at endpp.org.
All right. Let me see. I got a buddy. People have asked me at an expungement workshop, why will it take so long for it to go into effect? So that's the last question for me. Go ahead. Yeah.
Again, this has the computer system between the Illinois State Police and the 102 counties in the state of Illinois has to be integrated. It has to be put together, work together, so that they can transmit and send and receive information. And that algorithm has to be designed that can identify those people who are eligible for sealing. And so once that's created, again, I say we take time because we want to get it right. We don't want there to be any mistakes. We don't want people to not get sealed if they're entitled to be sealed, or to get sealed if they're not entitled to be sealed. We want to get it right. And so we found that there was a problem in some states early on when they tried to implement fast. And so we said, let's not repeat that. Let's try to take our time and get it right. And that's what we want to do. We want to get it right for the people.
Mr. Greg, real quick, I promise you I'm gonna let you go.
No,
I
you're fine.
believe he was talking about a regular expungement before the Clean Slate Bill. That's what he was talking about. That's what I believe, because he said people have asked me at an expungement workshop why it takes so long. Just a regular expungement before the clean. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem that we've been experiencing. This is why we fought to get Clean Slate, so that we can streamline this process so that it doesn't take so long. Sometimes it takes long because court logs are full, court dockets are full, and sometimes you get attorneys involved. And when you get an attorney involved, sometimes they get continuances, and they're trying to get more information and present cases to the court. And sometimes it just gets bogged down in the system. And we're saying, let's create Clean Slate so we can expedite this, so we can get around these backlogs and get people real relief, so that people can go to work, so that people can get housing, so that people can get education, so that people can get participate in civic engagement, and more. We want our people to be on the road to being fully free.
All right, Mr. Greg. I promise you I'll leave you alone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. This has been very informative. And I want to ask the audience, listening audience, to share this live, share it with your loved ones. And it's a lot of work need to be done, but it's motion, it's moving. So, all right, people, you already know what it is. This is my little slogan, Mr. Greg. Hold on.
You already know what it is. Live, uncut,
And what?
Unedited. Tell the truth.
And what?
And shame the devil.
And
I
you
love being black.
Thank you, brother. Peace out. Peace out. Peace out.